when this came over, I got an email from the shipping people and they were saying that the container had been infested with spiders. And I was like, well, I'm really scared of spiders. So I said to them, can you just at least tell me what spiders it is? Because I was thinking, it's come from California, that could be anything. They were like, oh, don't worry about it, it's just black widows. I was like, what? I'm Meg and this is my 73 Plymouth Satellite. I imported it from California about 2.5 years ago. Originally was from Texas. So I've been into the car since I was a little kid, like growing up going to shows and like drag strip. And so I've always really wanted an American car, but like when I was younger I couldn't afford it, and then the insurance, I was like, there's no way I'd be able to have one. So I ended up with a 68 Beetle initially, and I loved it at first, but then it just broke down all the time and I got really sick of it. And I got to the point where I thought it's time for an American car. There's a guy and he advertised in Classic American. He had a 67 Cougar that I initially wanted, but I decided against it. And then I just said to him, like, if you get any other muscle cars, because I always really wanted a muscle cars, like, just let me know, because I really want one. And he sent me the photos of this and I fell in love with it immediately. It took quite a while coming over because it was through COVID, so there was loads of delays at the ports, and that was like the longest wait of my life, like waiting for it to turn up. But it was quite cool because you get to track it when it's coming across the ocean, so it was like waking up every morning seeing how far the ship had come and that. But yeah, and then it turned up, it didn't run when it turned up, so it was like having ignition problems. But it took about 6 weeks to get it registered, so I think I got it running the day before my registration documents come through, which in a way I think was nicer, because if it had been running and I hadn't been able to drive it, that would have felt like that would have been a nightmare. But it was a bit of a battle because I didn't really know anything about ignitions, I'd never had an American car before, so I didn't really know what I was doing, but it taught me a lot. And then I just basically have dailied it ever since. Just love driving it so much. It did take a little bit of time to adjust driving on the left of the car, but I got it in the end, and I didn't think then. I just stopped driving my Beetle because I was like, I just didn't want to drive it, I just wanted to drive this. But yeah, and then sold the Beetle, and then yeah, got a truck as well because I was like, I just love the American cars so much. But when this came over, I got an email from the shipping people and they were saying that the container had been infested with spiders. And I was like, well, I'm really scared of spiders. So I said to them, can you just at least tell me what spiders it is? Because I was thinking, it's come from California, that could be anything. They were like, oh, don't worry about it, it's just black widows. Like, what? And then when the car turned up, there was cobwebs all in the engine bay. It was disgusting, and like I was really scared of it because I thought I'm going to get bitten by a spider, but thankfully I didn't find any spiders on it. But then the same thing happened with the truck, that it just had black widows on it, but I sat in the garage, which was absolutely terrifying, just a live black widow. So I had to get like the whole garage fumigated and everything. It was horrible. I don't know much history on the car because the guy I bought it off, he didn't know much history because he got it at a swap meet, which was pretty cool because when it came over it had the sign with like the swap meet writing on it and like how much it was, which is pretty cool. So I framed that in my house because I thought that's quite nice piece of history. But yeah, I don't know apart from that much. I post it quite a lot in Facebook groups, and a guy, he messaged me and said that it used to be his car, and like he said that he'd had it pretty much since factory, but then he sold it I think 10-20 years ago or something like that. But I was asking him about the dent in the back because I've always been really interested to know like how that happened. He said some stoners crashed into him one night where he was driving it, and like he tried to get the dent out but just like couldn't do it, and then gave up with it because he kind of thought it suited it, which I think it did. But you could tell it had been bumped when it come over because one of the wings had been replaced because it was white, and then the roof, I don't know what had gone on with that, but that was white as well, but it'd been painted with house emulsion, so it used to dribble when it rained, and it was awful, and it just looked a bit like ratty and not a nice way, having a wing and a roof a different colour. So I painted them about 2 years ago, and I did it outside in the wind because I didn't have I couldn't fit in the garage because it's too long. And I think it come out okay considering that. I probably do need to go over it at some point, but it looks a lot better than when it was white. But it was missing bits of trim as well when it came over on the wheel arch, so I think it just had one of the bits, and for a little bit I left it on because I wasn't sure whether I wanted to try and get the other bits and put them on or just take that one off. But I thought actually it looks a lot better without the trim. It just looks a bit more ratty, I think, which it suits. And the old wheels as well, they were they weren't awful, but they weren't like the nicest. So I put these wheels on quite recently, and I think that's transformed it. So I think wheels can like really make or break a car, and I think it's made a lot of difference to how it looks. I've barely touched the interior, like I've not done really anything to it because it's cracked, but I think that's just because it's baked in Texas and it kind of suits the overall look. And I think it's one of those things where if I paid to have the interior, like, I don't know, reupholstered or whatever, I'd then be thinking like, well, where do I stop? I'd probably then be tempted to do a bit more to the outside and a bit more, and then it would end up being a shiny car, and I don't want that. It's like, it's really comfy in there as well, and like, I don't know, it just suits the overall look of it being a bit ratty and like tattered. For the engine, when it came over, because it wasn't running, but I basically replaced the whole ignition system. Whoever had it before had started to put EFI on it, but had stopped, so I was ripping that out because there was just loads of wires that were going to nowhere. Some were earth and going from earth on one side of the car round to the other side of the car and earthed again, so I just like ripped a lot of that out. Apart from that, I've not done that much to the engine, just because it's my daily. So I keep toying with the idea of putting a bigger engine in, or like putting better parts on it so it can go a bit quicker. But then I like how practical it is and usable, so I can drive it all over the country and it doesn't cost a fortune. Like, it's not cheap, but it doesn't cost a fortune. So I think if I did too much to it, I'd maybe lose that aspect, which would be quite a shame because I love driving it every day. I'd be quite sad, I think, if I couldn't. Yeah, so with the rust, like the surface rust is pretty much all the rust there is. Underneath it's so solid, which I think is probably the benefit of buying from a hot state. But I think, yeah, I'd probably, if I'm importing, would only buy now from the hot states because my truck's the same, like no rust underneath or anything, which is nice. It's probably the best way for them to being it ratty on top and then like completely solid underneath. I just like the way it looks. It just looks mean, I think. So I painted like the headlight bezels and the grille at the front black as well because they were silver initially, and it just looked, I think with the bezels being chromed, it looked a bit clunky, and as soon as I painted them and painted the grille, it just looks so much meaner, which I think is really nice. And people always say as well when I'm following them that like looking at it in the rear view mirror, they say it just looks mean, which I really like. Pretty much since I've had it, it's been my daily. And it's done so well. It does really long journeys. Like, I've just recently moved up north, but I've driven up north from down south and that took like 3.5 hours. And then recently we went to the hot rod drags and it did that journey without a single hiccup. Like, it does really, really well, but it's struggling a little bit this winter. It's because my new job, it's a bit of a commute. It's like, it's more like faster roads, and it's like 30 miles there, 30 miles back, and it's just pushing it a little bit too much now. So I think I love dailying it, and I'll still take it to work, I think, a couple of days a week, but I've just bought a Jeep that I can take to work the rest of the time, just to take the pressure off it a little bit, because every time I'm driving down the A19 and it's starting to get a little bit like a wheezy old man, I think like this would be the worst place to break down with no hard shoulder when it's like pitch black in the morning. I'm like, that just wouldn't be ideal. So I think I'll probably start dailying it full time again in the spring when it's like, it doesn't really matter as much then if it breaks down, because it's like, it's lighter, it's a bit warmer, it's less miserable. Like I think my biggest achievement was getting it running, because that just taught me so much, and I think it is, I don't like to say it because I think it can hear if I say it's reliable and then it will break down, but like it does really well, and I don't think I trust another car the way that I trust this. But I think every time it does break down, I just think, well, if it didn't break down, you never learn how to fix it. So I think it's an achievement, like learning something, and I've learned quite a lot from it. I always say it's car of the show. Every show I take it to is just like a little joke. I'm like, oh, it's car of the show. I even got a t-shirt printed with it on, with car of the show on, because I just think it's funny. And in my mind, it is car of the show. But I went to a show quite recently in Sheffield, and they said it was like best muscle car, and they gave me a nice plaque and everything as well, which was really cool. I was quite proud of that. I think the biggest difficulties with it was initially when it came over, because I did feel quite lost with it, because I just had no idea how to get it working. I found a manual for it online for free, which was really, really helpful actually, because it gives you kind of like a diagnostics thing. So it's got like a list of the different problems it might have, and then some, like, potential solutions that you can go through and check, which is quite useful. I'm also in a B-Bodies forum online, which is probably the most useful place for information, because it's mainly guys in America, but they've got so much experience, and they speak in a way where it's like they explain things I can understand, and they don't speak down to you either, and they're just really, really helpful. It can be a bit frustrating. I think it being my daily as well, it's a bit difficult when it does break down, because for a while it was my only car. So when it was breaking down, then I was like, well, I can't get into work, and it puts a bit more pressure on. And actually, like, my first week of my new job, it broke down, which I was like, it just makes me look so bad. Like, thankfully my friend could give me a lift in, so I didn't miss a day, because I was like, that would just look so unprofessional. But I think that probably is the biggest difficulty, is just dailying it and like having it as your only car because you're really reliant on it. Mostly people's reactions to it are really, really positive. Like, it is definitely a head turner, I think, because there's not many of the 73 satellites in the country, and also it being quite ratty. I think it gets a lot of attention, but it can be a bit mixed when people ask questions about it, whereas half of them will be like, oh, when are you going to paint it? And the other half will be like, oh no, never paint it. No, I never would, because I love the patina so much. But yeah, it does get a bit of a mixed response with regards to the paint. So that's top speed, I'm not really sure. It's more of a cruiser. I have taken it down the strip at the Mopar Nats. I took it down this year and last year, which is pretty cool because that's normally on my birthday as well, so I get to take it down the strip on my birthday. It's the slowest car on the strip, but I love it. So I think its top speed down the strip was like 74. It's just happy cruising, like it'll cruise happily down the motorway at 70, no problems. Like, it's just it doesn't accelerate quickly, but when it gets to the speed, it's just very happy staying there. Drives really, really nicely. I love the lazy auto life, to be fair now. This is my first auto car and I just love it so much. You just kind of point it and it just goes. It's so comfy in there, like the seats are really comfy. When I go to Santa Pod, I just sleep in the back of it because it's just comfy. And it handles really well, goes around the corners really nicely, really sticks to the roads. So for the parts, I don't think it's that hard to get them because I get quite a lot from Rock Auto because they're quite cheap. And then sometimes I get from CM Frost as well, and they seem to have a lot of stuff in, and they do next day delivery as well, which is super useful if it's an important part that you really need, like brake stuff I normally get from them. So I love Mopar, and like when I got it, I always used to hear people say Mopar or no car, and then as soon as I got it, I was like, yeah, it's Mopar or no car. I do sometimes think it's Mopar, no problems, because there's just things with it that just like, they're just difficult for no reason. Like the ignition system, like that's such a headache, and I don't understand why they've overcomplicated that when like my Chevy truck, it's nowhere near as confusing. Like, but I love the Mopar community. They're really, really nice people, and like, I don't know, they're just cool cars. It's hard to beat like a cool muscle car in it. So there's quite a lot of American meets, I think. So from where I come from down south, there were loads, but there seems to be almost just as much up north as well, which is really nice. It's one of the nicest things about moving is like getting to see all the new car shows and going to the new local meets and that, because like growing up in one area, you kind of get to the point where you've seen all the cars. So then it's really nice going somewhere different and you get to see things you've never seen before, and it kind of becomes more exciting than going to the shows. It kind of like, I just refreshes it a bit driving there. Being a girl in the community, I think it does get a mixed response. I think sometimes I get really frustrated because you go to shows and I could be in this with no one else in the car, but if I go there like following like a guy, then people say to him, oh, nice car, I love your car. Or times where I've been driving it and I've had like a guy in the passenger seat and it's like people tell him, oh, I like your car, and it's like, it does get a bit frustrating. But then on the other hand, I think the women in the scene are so supportive of each other. It's really, really nice, and a lot of the guys are really supportive as well because they want to encourage more women to be in the scene. So with the size, when it was on the ship on the way over, I hadn't really considered how big it was. And then quite a few people were making comments to me like, oh, but it's a huge car. And I was thinking, no, surely not that big. And then I Googled it and I was like, oh, it's like almost 18 foot. And I was thinking, oh my God, how am I going to drive that? So I was used to driving my little like 1968 Beetle, which is tiny. But it's weird. It just shrinks around you. Like, I think because it's quite small, it's mostly bonnet. So it's quite small in the car. It just feels like a small car. And I think having dailied it for like 2 and a bit years now, it's like I've got quite good spatial awareness with it now, and I can like throw it around the corners and like park into small spaces, and it's like, it's not difficult anymore. I've just really got used to it. So my future plans for it, so next month I've got some leaf springs that I'm going to put on that's going to sit it up like 3 inches at the back, because that's like my favourite stance for them. I think that will look so good. And I've got some Flowmasters to put on it as well, because it's got the stock mufflers on, and it's just quiet. It sounds really good on a cold start, and then it's just quiet the rest of the time. So I just want it to be a bit more rumbly. I keep thinking about putting a bigger engine in, but I just talk myself out of it because I love dailying it so much, and like costing me a fortune dailying it as it is now. I think if I put anything bigger in, I just wouldn't be able to afford it. That'd be quite a shame. So I was looking at parts for it, quite expensive with like upgrading the engine and that. because I was thinking I could get like some different bits and put it on, but it's just so much money. I've just done that to truck instead because it's just a lot cheaper. It's like almost half the price, but I think that's a nice compromise because I can have that to drive around and race if I want to, and then this can just be my nice chill cruiser that I take everywhere.